Hi, my name is Paul Xavier. I'm the founder of the Next Level Creators Program, and you are listening to the Go Creative Show.
Hey everyone, my name is Ben Consoli. I am a director and owner of BC Media Productions, and this is the Go Creative Show, a podcast for filmmakers. Today's episode is all about redefining the production industry and learning how to grow our production companies. We've got filmmaking entrepreneur and founder of Next Level Creatives, Paul Xavier, back on the show to talk about what has changed in our production industry over the past year, and then also some concrete tips and techniques that we can all start using right away. This is an episode that you guys are absolutely going to love. You're going to learn a lot from it, and I cannot wait to share it. The Go Creative Show is sponsored by PostLab, stress-free collaboration for Final Cut Pro 10, and Rule Boston Camera, buy, rent, create at rule.com. I also want to encourage you to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. And follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, because we give our listeners an opportunity to have their questions heard on the show. So let's get right into it. The founder of Next Level Creatives and filmmaking entrepreneur, Paul Xavier. So I'm here with Paul Xavier, the founder of Next Level Creators, and this is your return visit here on Go Creative Show. So thank you so much for coming back.
So good to be back, Ben.
We were just talking kind of about how much time has passed since our last interview and how this time of year is perfect for the conversation that we're going to have. Because yes, it's February, I know, but still, those January resolutions still hold over into February, let's be honest. And I think this is the time of year when people really think about what are they going to do this year different than last year? How can we grow? How can we become better? How can we become more successful? That is what this episode is all about. So I'm excited to dive in.
I couldn't agree more. This is the time of the year, especially in 2020 here, coming into a new decade. There's so much opportunity out there. It's such an exciting time, especially for content creators. Really don't think there's ever been a better time to be a content creator, if I'm honest, with all the opportunity the social platforms are offering us and the amount of clients that are pouring budgets into content creation. So very exciting for all of us.
That's one thing that I saw this year. I've been doing video production. I've been in this kind of industry for a while now, and I've gone through a complete cycle of seeing budgets go away and then come back. I've just been in it enough time. When I first started, all I heard from, my peers and other production companies is, oh, there's no more budgets anymore. Oh, the good old days were so much better. We had all this money, this and that. And I came in at a downtime, but then I saw them go up, and then I saw them come back down again. So I've sort of been through that process. And what I'm seeing now, the trend in 2019 and hopefully 2020, budgets are coming back. And I think the reason why is because advertisers, marketers, and businesses understand now the value of pouring money into social media. They understand how to do it right. And because of that, they need assets. And video is one of those assets.
100%, Ben. And one of the things that's really just on the other side of marketers, right, is because every marketer is always thinking between kind of two lines of thought. What is my distribution for this? And then what is my asset that I'm distributing? And one of the overwhelming trends that we're seeing online today is just that video is by far the most powerful medium of communication that exists online. If we use video versus image or versus just text, the video will outperform it if it's the exact same message exponentially. Granted, the subject in the video is shot very well. So that's a great thing for us because the demand is increasing. And the other really interesting trend that we're seeing is that video overall, they need to have more frequency in terms of the number of videos businesses are creating. Creating just one video and letting it run for a year, as probably most of the people who watch your show, they might know a little bit about who I am from my ads. You've probably seen one or two of my videos for years at a time. Now what we're seeing is that you need to constantly be innovating and creating more videos, so more videos per month to succeed at the same level you used to be able to do with just one asset, because one asset used to make you different. Now we need to be making more to hit the market from different angles, which is a very interesting thing from an advertising perspective, also increasing demand for video.
Let's take a step back and just reintroduce our audience to who you are and what you do. Tell us about Next Level Creators, what it is, who you are. Just kind of bring us back up to speed. And also, you guys, this episode is going to be different than the last one when we talked to Paul. So if you kind of want to get a little bit more on like the beginning of our conversation, some of the higher level concepts, all of that is in the previous episode with Paul. You can check that out on our website, gocreativeshow.com. For this episode, we're going to dive a little bit deeper, but I do, Paul, think it's worth taking a couple minutes to sort of explain who you are right now, just to get everybody up to speed.
Sure thing. So my background and really my experience is helping, whether it's a freelance filmmaker, freelance cinematographer, anyone who's in the commercial space, so creating commercials for business owners, pivot from doing one-off projects to offering monthly recurring revenue value propositions. So that could be video retainers where you're creating content on a monthly basis for a business. It could be commercial campaigns where you're doing video plus distribution. And the whole objective of Next Level Creators and what we do there is we help our clients add a minimum. That's our value that we look to add to every business of $10,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue. Now, that's really what Next Level Creators is. We're working with big production companies, pivoting them to a video agency model that way, all the way down to the little, brand new freelancers who just want to start with really a business model that's going to support them and a family without having the stress of inconsistent income on a month-to-month basis. Yeah.
Let's dive into the thing that I want to get into the most, and this is marketing, because you need to market yourself as a cinematographer and as a filmmaker. You have to stand out. I can tell you on my Instagram, I feel like when I look at my Instagram feed, I feel like the entire world are filmmakers. It seems like everyone is doing it. And my biggest question every day when I go to figure out what I'm going to be posting that day is, how do I get noticed? How do I market myself? Talk to us about that, and talk to us kind of what is new in 2020 that you're seeing.
Phenomenal question. And I know what we really want to do for everyone who's listening today is we want to go more specific. We want to be able to offer you specific strategies that are going to work for you.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to start with a specific, like how I come up with specific strategies, sort of high level, is I always use what's called systems thinking. All right. We're going to have inputs, processes, outputs, and then feedback that funnels back around. So if you want to get noticed, okay, if you want people to pay attention to you, and you want to get new clients coming into your video agency, your video projects every single month, if you want it to be predictable, you have to have consistent and predictable inputs. So to give you an example of how I would do that with a filmmaker who right now is relying on, let's say, referrals to grow, and they're not getting any referrals because they're just getting started, would be, all right, well, if we're not getting any referrals, if you don't know anybody, if all you did was create your highlight reel and it looks phenomenal, but you have no prospects, we need to go and create opportunity for you. And the way to do that would be to, on a monthly basis, define what your metrics are. So a really basic fundamental outreach system that we would teach someone would be, okay, well, if you want to get, let's say, one client a month, then you will need to connect with 300 people on LinkedIn. Of those 300 people, you're going to send each of them a direct message with a video in it that's personalized to them. Should take you 5 to 10 minutes per person. And with that, you're going to set up conversations. From those conversations, out of the 300 people you reach out to, most people aren't going to reply. It's the nature of LinkedIn. It's the nature of social media. You have to know, to some degree, it's a marketing game. It's a numbers game to some degree. But also beyond that, it's a differentiation game. You have to be able to offer results. You have to be able to show you're different, and that comes down to messaging. But again, so through that, we reach out to 300 with these little messages. A percentage of them will agree. Let's just say 10 to 20 conversations there. From that, if you have a good conversion rate in your sales meetings, you should be able to get 1 to 2 clients just getting started. So that's a pretty more specific strategy, I think, than we got into last time. And that's something that I recommend all of our clients get into from the get-go, is developing systemized approaches to getting clients like that.
So on LinkedIn, right? Do you need to pay extra for the ability to send messages to people that you are not friends with?
That's a great question. Yes, you do, if you want to send messages to people who you are not friends with. Now, the other part of this strategy is you need to learn how to differentiate yourself just through your profile and your connection request. So let's just say with LinkedIn, for example, we have an entire standard operating procedure that all of our clients use, which is, instead of thinking about your LinkedIn profile as just a profile, think of it as a landing page. Your title and what you have for your name should call out to your market, call out to the people you're reaching out to. I can help you grow your business with video marketing, right? Something that's going to be intriguing to them. Then when they come to your profile, it should validate that claim. So you should show some of the videos you've shot. You should show that you're good at what you do. Maybe you should have some testimonials from people who've worked with you. Okay. You should have some content you put on your profile that walks through exactly how you use video different from everyone else, and why most of the videographers out there have no chance at delivering the types of results you can. So that's essentially it. You look at it as if it's a landing page.
I'm going to my LinkedIn right now just to kind of like see what I have, because I don't really use it as much as I should. And I say I should because you're not the only person that is telling me that LinkedIn is a great marketing tool. And I feel like what I've been hearing about it is that, yes, it's a numbers game. You have to send out a lot of requests to get a connection. But for some reason, there's a more professional sort of feel in LinkedIn where the communication between people is like, you can be all business in LinkedIn and it doesn't sound like shady. Like through Facebook's like more personal. You know what I mean? Like Facebook is personal, LinkedIn is business. And it's like, the communication can be all business and people still feel good about it. I mean, that's the impression I get. Are you feeling like that is what it is?
Here's going to be something that's going to probably shock most of the listeners. What works best on LinkedIn is personal related messaging. And what works best on Facebook is business related messaging.
Oh my God. See, perfect. This is why I'm on this side of the conversation.
The challenge with LinkedIn is, yes, everything is very business. Everything is very corporate. And people are used to that on the LinkedIn platform when they're consuming content on LinkedIn. But everyone on LinkedIn gets direct messaged or DM'd, as the kiddos call it these days, with people trying to solicit their business. And there's no relationship there, especially if it's cold. It's someone who doesn't know you. So what do? You ignore it.
Yeah.
That's what 99% of people do.
I have three. Wait a minute. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 soliciting emails in LinkedIn that I have not responded to.
Well,
that's really bad.
Man.
I feel bad now for all these people. Oh my God.
Meanwhile, recognize that those people are mass soliciting you, along with hundreds of thousands of others, most likely, as they go about their marketing. But that's why relationship, if you're starting a conversation on LinkedIn, is absolutely crucial. We've found that by running more, hey, I looked at your profile and I noticed this, that, the other thing are really cool. Tell me about that. Tell me about you. That type of languaging, that type of outreach doesn't happen on LinkedIn very often. Typically, it's just straight to business. So I want to sell you something, sell. And that doesn't work. Whereas, again, going back to Facebook, everything's more personal. Well, you can have lots of personal stuff on your profile, show that you're a human being. People will then trust you because you're a real human who uses Facebook for the social reasons. But then if you send someone a direct message, you can get straight down to business, and it works very well because they look at your profile and see that you're a real person. So that validates that part of that platform.
What are the must-haves on anyone's LinkedIn page?
Content. Same. Here's a quote for or just a concept for everyone to take away. Imagine if you marketed your video production agency the way you recommend your clients promote their businesses with video.
Good point. Really good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
It to flip the mirror around, my friends, if you are not creating content for yourself that is engaging, that is creative, that is captivating, that you would enjoy watching, why should people hire you to do that for them?
Yeah, use your profile as if it was a paid client is probably a good strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
100%. So that's LinkedIn. That's just one strategy.
Yes.
I mean, really, there are dozens and dozens of others. It all depends on the scenario, on who your target market is. And again, that's gonna vary in the strategy and the approach. Because, for example, one of our clients, he works with tech companies out in Silicon Valley, and he's been landing deals left and right on LinkedIn because that's where a lot of them hang out. Yes, because tech companies are very prevalent on LinkedIn. They use it to get in touch with other business owners. They're very active on the platform. And so that's really an exciting place for him to break in and market there. Whereas another video agency we're working with is more in the charity space. And their market, charities, they're more ground and pound, sort of at networking events, at live events, doing things, doing charitable activities. So the place for them to go and leverage their video content is actually to those events and to set up shop there. And that's how they get clients. So again, it's going to vary on who your avatar is, what your offer is to them. But you need to make that distinction first and foremost to who you're going after.
Tell me about strategies for Instagram, because I think a lot of the people in our audience especially are using Instagram. It's the more visual medium per se. I think I see a ton of filmmakers on there, photographers, videographers. Seems to be the go-to. Are you feeling the same way? And if so, what are some of the strategies that you're suggesting?
Instagram is absolutely a huge platform. And again, it all depends on who your avatar is. So if I was consulting with someone who is doing basically Instagram to try to get tech clients for video, I probably would urge against it and go to a different channel. But in a lot of markets, for instance, the fitness space, the health and fitness space, you want to, who here is in the health and fitness arena, owns a gym, and isn't on Instagram all day looking at people with gyms and posting content about their gym and their classes? It's massive. Yeah. So from that respect, you can be the filmmaker, be the content creator who's creating content relative to gyms, relative to these potential clients of yours, posting that on your profile. And one of the things that I think is just most important is taking it beyond, like, the filmmakers who are telling the story behind the film, the behind the scenes, who are giving people an inside look into the strategy, the actual reason this type of video is smart. Those are the ones who are winning more clients versus the ones who are just posting the video and then disappearing. Because it's one thing to say, hey, I worked on this project. That's great. It's definitely a tip in the right direction. But to say, here's this project and here's why we created it this way. Here's why we're using it in this distribution channel. Here's why we opened this video this way. Here was the overarching strategy of it all to get results. When you start to break things down that way, it's captivating your potential audience in a different light. And that's very powerful.
So not necessarily using it as a tool just to brag about the work that you're doing, but actually having some sort of behind the scenes, some sort of lessons, some teaching, and any sort of sharing of knowledge. Seems like that's Absolutely. What you're saying.
Because that's what people want. People will initially be hooked by how beautiful your imagery is. Yeah. That's a story as old as time. Everyone loves a beautiful image, and that's what attracts a lot of us to doing this in the first place, is we like to tell emotional, story-driven stories, essentially, with our videos. However, once you get them past that, the surface level aspect of it, what's going to hook someone in to make them say, you know what, there are these 12 people who are specializing or doing these awesome, beautiful story, emotional videos in the gym space. This is the first person who's talked to me about the strategy behind it, about how they're leveraging it, about the results it's getting for their clients, taking it to that next level. That's going to be the person who stands out the most, who people will reach out to first, because they've built the most trust with their audience. The other thing with it is think through it through a systems thinking thing. If you're sitting there on Instagram and you have 100 followers and you're investing 5 hours a day to create Instagram content, talk on your story, post, it's probably not a very worthwhile use of your time unless you have a mechanism to get more of your potential clients to come to your Instagram profile consistently. So that would be reaching out to people through Instagram messages, connecting with them, following other profiles of people who are actually, could be clients of yours. You have to get people to come back to you for it to make sense.
Let's take a quick break and talk about something that I've been extremely excited about. PostLab. Yeah, PostLab is a collaboration tool for Final Cut Pro 10. It enables users to share libraries, track and save changes, and make sure that no more than one person is working on the library at the same time. So you're going to get zero conflicts and a recallable history of your project. Now, Final Cut Pro 10 people, I'm sure your ears are perking. And here's the cool thing. PostLab is a perfect blend between a cloud service and a desktop app. On the desktop side, you're always working off a local copy. So it's just like you were working without PostLab. You're always going to have a full local copy of your production. But on the cloud side, PostLab is a cloud service that is built on a cloud purposely for Final Cut Pro 10 libraries. So they're not going to break, they're not going to fall apart. And if you've tried to put your libraries on other cloud services, you know it doesn't really work. But with PostLab, that problem has been solved. Of course, the collaboration is amazing. You're assigning tasks and commenting on changes. This is the tool that we have all wanted in Final Cut Pro since day one. And the best part is you get 3 months free by going to gocreativeshow.com/PostLab. So go check it out for yourself and change the way that you collaborate on Final Cut Pro 10. 3 months free at gocreativeshow.com/PostLab. So everything that we talked about now was to get potential clients' attention. Let's say you've gotten their attention. You now have them in the room and you have your first meeting with them. In your training, you talk about this idea of earning the deal. Tell us what that means.
Earn the deal is our sales model. So earn the deal is essentially a sales guide I've put together. My team and I, my partner, John Kovac, we have done close to 2,000 sales meetings between the two of us.
Wow.
At this point. And that's for a whole variety of different types of offers from, we use video, we sell video in many different ways, from one-off projects to content retainers, commercial campaigns, what I call perpetual programs, and Earn the Deal works every single time. The concept behind it is that before you make an offer to someone, you can't really make a win-win offer until you've diagnosed what your client's challenge is and what it's worth for them to solve that challenge, and whether or not you and that client believe that your offer is the solution to that challenge. So that's what we do, is we run a conversation. It's just got a couple different phases within it to make sure that this is a win-win opportunity for both of you, when you, of course, present your price and decide whether you want to work together.
So your strategy is going in and saying to yourself, okay, what is the problem that this potential client is trying to solve? And then providing solutions, or are you going into the meeting trying to establish what that problem is?
I'm going in basically like a golden retriever. I want to understand from this most simplistic way that I possibly can. What do you want? Where are you now? Where do you want to go? What do you want from this? That can be solving a challenge, or it can be achieving something that's, really important to them, a desired result.
Yeah.
Because everyone's different too, So you're probably not going to solve a huge challenge for a multi-billion-dollar company. They're going to be looking for expansion and like an exciting thing.
Yeah.
Rather than maybe a medium-sized business owner runs a $10 million shop, but sales have declined for the past 6 months. They're trying to break out of that. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's a challenge we've diagnosed. what can we do to reverse it? What are the things that are causing it? And how can we use video and the right strategy to get sales back to where we need them?
This first initial meeting with these clients, this is the most essential thing. This is you get the chance to meet with them. You're trying to understand what their problems are. But usually the next step, at least for me, is this idea of creating a treatment or a proposal. And Fabricio Diaz on Instagram is asking for tips on how to make a good treatment or proposal, which honestly, I think that is probably the most important thing, because this is your opportunity to actually show the client that you've heard them. You understand what their problems are, and you have a solution. Like, this is the most important process, I feel. What do you think?
It's going to depend. So treatments, proposals, those are necessary oftentimes in bidding situations where you're bidding on projects. I would say that probably 70% of our clients are working with more small or medium-sized companies where there are no treatments or proposals at all. It's a conversation, and then you take credit card information right then and there. And where you take treatments, where that enters in is where it's a company with more of a bureaucratic buying process, right? For them, they have to put it through to their accounting department. So they're going to need to get approval from people, approval from a board. So when you're going through a situation like that, and that's typically going to be a higher budget range for you. Often ad agencies are brought in those scenarios as well. 100% a treatment and a proposal is going to be necessary. And how you would go about that process, the most important thing, once again, is really understanding what is this project all about in the first place. Okay, if you want to win in that scenario, the deeper or the better you understand the purpose of this video and how your messaging, how you're going to be able to tell the story, how you're going to be able to invoke an emotional response that the end client wants to invoke in the audience, and how you can explain that in your proposal, explain that in your treatment, that is going to win the day versus the person who, of course, is looking for the cheapest option, right? Because a lot of companies, they'll be going through this process and they'll just be looking for the cheapest option. If that's the case and that's the inkling or the feeling you get in your conversation with them, I would most likely back out and go to the next opportunity, right?
That's interesting. But so if you're feeling like it's all about price and the decision's going to be made on who's the cheapest, you feel like that's kind of a bullet to be dodged?
It depends on who you are and where your business is at. I preach kind of a financial model in a video agency world that is a little unique in that I don't recommend people rely entirely on large one-off projects. I recommend that they have that as a component to their overall cash flows.
Okay.
So how I recommend a video agency be built is you want to have between 3 to 5 monthly recurring revenue clients that are going to be smaller to medium-sized businesses bringing in between $10,000 to $25,000 a month in recurring revenue. Now, what's great about that is that gives you enough cash flow to hire, so you can have a team member who's managing that cash flow while still being very profitable. You can have the team member, of course, do the work as well. So that's essentially what we've done. Then pursuing the one-off projects, they allow for, it's kind of, in a sense, like going after elephants, big projects. They can amass large cash flows. And in that case, because you've got your cash flow taken care of, because you have some recurring revenue in your business, you don't have the massive feast or famine cycle, bills are covered, still making a profit there, it affords you the freedom to pick and choose the projects that you're passionate about that have, perhaps more profit margin fixed into them, whether it's a charitable endeavor you want to do. That's the model that I typically recommend to people when they're getting started.
I think that is, it completely makes sense, but it seems pretty unique in that, at least my peers, the production companies that I'm bidding against, people that I've just met in the industry, I don't see a lot of people in this retainer-based model for video production. What I see most of the time is everybody fighting for the same, 4 or 5 giant jobs that come in every couple of months. And yes, I think the problem with that is that you're going to have feast or famine cycles, like you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But setting up your business in a way where you have clients that are consistently giving you however many thousands a month, that's almost like a completely different way of thinking in video production for me. And I'm sure a lot of people in our audience too.
I again, this is also something that I think is really interesting. I'm an outsider from the industry perspective of where my business information comes from.
Yeah.
I rarely get business information from the creative field because what works in the creative, or what has worked in the creative field and in the video field has been the same for everybody. And if you want to play that game, it's a time game. Yeah. You're going to be building over time, acquiring the equipment, acquiring the skills, acquiring the team to be able to do bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger projects. And that's perfectly fine. That's how almost everyone has done it for forever. My knowledge more so came in this retainer-based model, came from the ad agency space. And the ad agencies, I mean, technically just way bigger, way more profitable in terms of average business in the ad agency world compared to a production company. And oftentimes ad agencies will hire production companies and still make a profit on the production, even though you do all the work.
I'm in that situation all the time. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with either way. I thought about it different when I was getting started because I had the good fortune of being able to see both sides. And luckily, because of that, I've made decisions and kind of devised this different plan that includes what I find to be the best of both worlds. Now, there's a couple mistakes that everyone can make in this space, which is, you go get a retainer client, but then you're charging way too low and that client has no way of paying you the income that you actually need. And you try to take on dozens of retainer clients, huge mistake.
Yeah.
See tons of people try to do that, like the $500 a month level. That's a mistake because you're running into a scenario where communication with those clients is going to it's going to eat your time away. You don't have enough profit to hire people at that range. And it's going to become a huge pain in the butt, to be honest, me dealing with that kind of business. So that's why I recommend that 3 to 5 range. That's manageable. If you have the right profit margin and cash flow from those clients, you can hire someone, keep it very profitable. And then that affords you the time to go and not only find the great one-off deals, but to invest more time in them so you have a higher shot at winning them than the people who are scrambling trying to get any and every deal that they can, whether it's the lowest or the best one that they actually want to work on.
I like this idea of retainer-based clients. Actually, you had a different term for it. What did you call them? Reoccurring something, or what did you call it?
Yeah. So it's monthly recurring revenue, or MRR.
Okay.
And then there's annual recurring revenue, ARR. And there's 2 different clients that fit into both buckets.
I think there's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are going to say, I love the idea of a retainer client. And then also say in the same breath, I've never had a situation where that could even possibly happen, because every one of my clients ever in the history of my career has been, I need a video for this event. I need a commercial. I need this. I need that. Their needs have never been on a reoccurring monthly basis. So how do you convince somebody to have those types of needs? I think that's probably the biggest struggle that people listening to this would be battling in their mind.
Great question. And what's interesting is a lot of those of you who are listening are, this idea might be new to you, but through exposure to it, it will become realer and realer. So the first thing to think about is, how do advertising agencies approach and win clients? They're not going out and pitching a one-time marketing campaign, typically. They're looking for clients they can work with forever. Granted, it's a win-win relationship long-term.
Sure.
And there's a phrase that I say a lot in Next Level Creators, which is that energy breeds results. Okay? If right now, the energy you're putting out there is, I am a filmmaker. I can shoot a great film for you. I can create a great event video for you. I can create a great commercial for you. That's the energy you're putting out there into the world, and that's the result you're getting, is people coming to you wanting one commercial, wanting one event video.
Mm.
If we put out more with your energy saying, here's what's possible if you work with me on an ongoing basis. Here's the type of content plan I can develop for you, where this month we're going to do 2 testimonials and 1 information video. Then next month we're going to do a demonstration video. We're going to do a story video. We're going to do a office walk around video. All of a sudden you're creating a custom plan for them. And through that, this is a direct to client relationship in this instance, right? All of a sudden the client gets to see this person's going to save me time. This system's going to be working better. And this is exactly what I need. Depending on the business you're working with, some of them need just content. I have a client who's in New York. He works with e-commerce companies in New York that are doing a couple $1 million. They're spending, anywhere from 40 to 50K on ads. Their biggest challenge right now is they need more variation. They need more videos, more content to put out there to differentiate their handbags, differentiate their leather products. That's what he gets to offer to them for $5,000 a month, is that system that's going to work with their distribution team. So a big part of it is being able to identify where is the need, where is the demand for these ongoing services, whether it's just content or content and distribution, that you can go and fill that need and put that energy out there to attract it to you.
Now, I hear numbers like $5,000 a month, and I'm thinking to myself, that's a low budget for the amount of videos that you're saying that people may be promising. So I think I think what happens in video production is so much money is put on the individual shoot day because of how many people are there. If you're casting, if you got the cameras, you got the lighting people, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of effort and time that's being put into that shoot day. But from that shoot day, you can create multiple assets. So how would you approach a situation where, let's say you have a client that the actual shoot day is going to cost $30,000, but from that, you're going to get 15, 20 assets. How would you approach that situation in a retainer basis when you need all the money up front, really, to get that shoot day paid for? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's going to depend. So in that type of scenario, what you might advise, and this is all going to depend on what the client's needs are, is, well, you always want to package as much of the content creation, as much of the shooting into the smallest time frame possible.
Yeah.
So more often than not on content retainers, what we're doing is we're doing 12 months, 6 months worth of content in 1 day, 2 days. Right? We're trying to capitalize on that as much as possible.
Yeah.
So there will be a upfront production fee for getting all of the content shot. However, you would roll out the editing and the release of those videos and manage that aspect for the client over the remainder of the year. So when you think about the production, if you're creating 12 assets, 1 per month for the rest of the year, you're still going to take that project the same way you're doing now. You're going to charge the same amount you would otherwise. However, it's the additional service, additional result of saving them time throughout the rest of the year, of as far as editing it, releasing it to them on the date that they're going to be doing it, releasing it for them, putting a system in place to do that. So you're just taking over more responsibility for the client, so that way you can generate higher results. Some of our clients, they really haven't changed much on their production side. They're still doing that exactly the same. The only thing they do is they charge a monthly fee for attribution. How are these videos doing? Well, they put in place the tracking systems for that, and then they charge for it, because at the end of the day, that's valuable to marketing director. It all depends, right? So there are ways of, there are kind of a few different things you have to keep in mind when you're in a sales scenario. The first one's going to be situational awareness, the proper capability for you to diagnose what the heck this person wants and needs. What is the gap? What is the demand they're here for? Then the second one that I promote is, or that you want to have, is offer flexibility. I don't walk into a meeting with someone thinking I'm going to sell them anything. I walk into a meeting knowing a whole slew and variety of ways that we can use video to get different results. But before I can do that and make a recommendation, I do need to understand what the situation is. What am I diagnosing here? What's happening? And then we're going to create a custom package based off of that. The third thing that we need to have is a standard for what you're going to earn, a standard for the type of project you're going to take on. Right? And this is probably the biggest area where I see a lot of people make the mistake of, or they have no standards in their business. One project will be $500, right? And their hourly rate on it is, dismal. It's absolutely nothing. And then another project is $25,000, right? And they win a big job and they're super excited about it. But then the next month they go right back down to their standard of $1,000 project. It's like, okay, so nothing's really changed. You haven't leveled up. You've just kept the same standard and you're just jumping back and forward. So that's a challenge. And that's why having the ability to diagnose problems, identify problems that are big that you can solve, having offer flexibility to be able to create a solution, and then having a standard on what you'll charge. And you'll say no if it's not at your standard. You can just recommend it to someone else and charge a finder's fee.
It's so scary to say no, though, for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, I've been doing this forever, and I'm still scared to say no sometimes. And I think I don't necessarily, I mean, I'm not scared to say no, but I think for me, I think to myself, like, okay, because of the way that I've just done business for a while now and how I've seen small projects become big over time, I sometimes will take a smaller project if I see that there's a relationship that can be built and the potential for a bigger project down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
And that's smart business, Ben. So I still to this day, like, here's the thing. You're always investing something to grow, time or money.
Yeah.
And understanding that is a very key distinction for everyone in business. You're always investing time or your money, right? And you can oftentimes trade money for time. I do that a lot. I pay people exuberant amounts of money I used to think was like insane, just to meet them nowadays. Just to get in a room with some people, I'll pay $10,000. But it's because I've learned the value.
Who are you meeting for $10,000?
It depends on the person, but different finance experts, different consultants, coaches who can help me with my business, right?
I'll only charge you $3,000 and you can come and meet me anytime.
Well, exactly. And it's all about systems. Like for instance, I recently invested $5,000 to learn from a accounting tax expert who could help me develop a plan. I knew who he was, couldn't get a meeting with him, offered to pay him for his time. Now he's going to help me develop a system for finance and taxes and the right profitability equation, essentially, for our clients. So I had to invest some money to get a already created solution that I could then hand over to my clients to create more value for them. So it all takes place in that line of thinking as far as time versus money. And what you just said right there, sometimes you'll take a job if it's the right relationship with the right person. I think that's smart. What I think is not smart is going out there and wanting to be a video agency that specializes in content for the health and fitness industry and lowering your fee to do a wedding. Like that, there's a disconnect here between what you're shooting and what you're doing, the relationship you're building, and the type of work that you actually want.
Yeah. There is so much more to go with Paul Xavier, but I just want to take a quick break and talk about one of our great sponsors, Rule Boston Camera. Now, Rule is the place to go to purchase and rent all of your production equipment. I certainly have done both of those things all the time. And the reason I do it is because, first of all, they have everything that I want. They have a gigantic inventory amassed from over 35 years in business. So you can imagine what's there. Cameras, audio, lighting, grip, communications, camera dynamics, everything you can imagine. Think about it. When the big Hollywood films and TV shows come into Boston, they are using Rule. So just think about it. If it's good enough for the people doing production at the highest level, it's certainly good enough for me. And they have everything that I'm looking for. And it's good quality stuff. Sometimes you go to rental houses, you get equipment, it's all banged up and busted and dirt. Not the case with Rule. It is in excellent condition. It works great. And the cool part is that their service is the best in the business, meaning they're going to make sure you understand how to use the equipment when you take it out. They give you technical guidance as you're on the way out the door. And they're committed to your project the whole time that you have their equipment on your set. Committed to you. They're basically a production partner, and that's why I keep going back. We're talking about peace of mind, and that's what we want when we are doing production. Every day is expensive. Every moment is expensive. You want to make sure you have a partner, and Rule is that partner. So check them out for yourself at rule.com. I want to transition into a topic of distribution because myself included in this, I think a lot of people in our audience will do a video, they will give it to their client, and then they're not involved in it anymore. And more often than not, clients don't know what to do with the videos. And they may never be seen ever. Or if they are, they're thrown on some random YouTube page and you look back 6 months later and they have 14 views and you're like, what's the point? Because the success of your video is likely going to result in your clients coming back. And if you have no control over if your video succeeds, it's a little scary. But I think what you talk a lot about is selling the distribution or the services of distribution of the projects that you're working on too. So I want to talk a little bit about that because I don't think many people in our audience, myself included, really utilize this idea of helping your clients actually distribute the project you just did. And I'd love to talk to you more about that. In fact, we have a question from Philip Vollier. I hope I'm saying it right, Phil. He wants to have tips for proper launching and marketing of finished projects. So that's exactly what we're talking about. So thank you, Philip. Talk to me about distribution and what your strategies are. What do you recommend?
Yeah, so inside of Next Level Creators, of course, we do teach Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads, Google ads. So we teach the gamut there as far as like paid ads for distribution. But
and you
overall,
and you teach how to use those, like how to use those platforms to help sell advertising packages to your clients, right?
In a sense, yes.
Okay.
And it all comes back. I think the easiest way to have a discussion on distribution is always to go more specific.
Okay.
So we'll use Philip's example of a fitness product, and let's say that someone is selling a new fitness product like a Peloton, for example. Recently, tons of commercials out there about Peloton, some controversial.
Yeah.
And I think what's good to know is that everything you do from a content standpoint should back up the overarching goal of the business owner. So let's say that Peloton, let's say their product is $1,000. So I don't know what it actually is, but it's like a nice whole number. We want to understand from the get-go, what is the profitability of this one item? Okay. So if we don't know the profitability and we don't know what someone is willing to invest to get one sale of that Peloton, it's very difficult to create a distribution system. Well, it is impossible to create a distribution system that we are confident will get us clients profitably. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So let's take the numbers here. $1,000 for Peloton, and the profit on it is $500. So there's a 50% profit margin. Okay. Now, what we have to work with here is between $0 and $499.99. As long as we're less than that, we make something in profit whenever we sell this Peloton. And the way these channels work, our distribution channels, is we have to spend money to, of course, get our videos out there so people will watch them. And our objective is to get a percentage of the people who see our content to go over and buy that Peloton. And as long as we can get with $499.99, a percentage of people to click over and buy, again, we're profitable. So we just break the math down from that perspective. And what I like to do is use direct response videos. So those are sort of typically a little bit longer form videos. there's no predefined length of time, but it could be any. I have an entire video on YouTube about length of time and effective video ads. But you would pick the biggest benefits related to a Peloton, which is huge time savings. You don't have to drive to the gym all the time. You get that time back in your life. You get personalized spin classes, or you could be in the room live. The person could literally call your name out. And you're riding with your friends. You can do video rides with your friends who also have this Peloton in their house. So there's massive benefits there to time savings. You're going to be more consistent because it's right there in your home. You still get the group feel. There's actual Facebook group, and there's all this community around the whole thing. So it's an empowering way to long-term save money, get fit consistently, and join a network of people that some people would be looking for. So that's great. It's a fantastic product from that perspective. So I would create a video targeting people who either, whatever the audience is, people who are already into spin, people who are into mountain biking, people who are into XYZ other aspect on Facebook and Instagram, and create a really captivating video that's going to call out to them about their challenge with staying consistent, with wasting tons of time driving back and forward to spin class. We're going to hit them with a hook of that angle in our video. Might switch the front of the video out on each. We could shoot it, in one setting, but get both hooks, and then launch it, then lead it back to a landing page where people, of course, can get all the information on the Peloton and decide whether they want to or don't want to buy it from there.
And you're using these platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, to distribute all these videos.
Correct. So Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, soon to be LinkedIn, working on that as well right now.
Okay. So part of your program is teaching people how to use the tools, the administrative tools, the advertising tools, so that you can, in effect, sort of sell your services as a marketer for your clients. So you're not just making the project, you're not just making the video, you're also selling monthly marketing price. Like what are you selling at that point?
At the end of the day, we're always selling results. So in the Peloton example, let's say that the Peloton business is willing to spend half of their profit, so half of that $500 to get a client. So they're willing to invest $250 to get a client. Now, let's say that they want to sell 100 of them a month. So that's 250 multiplied by 100, whatever that number comes out to be. Let's just say it's 10. So that would be $2,500 there in profit and $2,500 budget per month to invest into production and ad spend to go out there and get clients. So now you could take that, and granted, you're hitting those numbers, you're getting them that result, they'll stay with you forever. How you do it, again, that's offer flexibility. So it's going to depend on the right approach for the specific business. And I always recommend, again, for people who are getting started, go specific. Figure out how to do this type of thing for one type of business and then dominate that. Because again, you only need a handful of clients. That's one of the other things a lot of the skeptics will push at me. Well, Paul, if this was so easy or you were so good at doing this, why wouldn't you just do it for everyone? Guys, I have my 5 clients. I don't want more.
Yeah.
That's why I teach it. And my clients, our first goal, get you to 5 clients. And then there are other more scalable business models you can move into after that. I mean, that's where perpetual programs come in, like Next Level Creators. You could teach those to other people. We've taught lots of people how to do that. Info products, that market is growing. Billions are going to be poured into that over the next decade. So
what do you mean info
lots
products?
of other ways to.
What do you mean?
Info products are educational content, video content in an educational portal on a specific subject. Yeah, that's $1 billion booming industry. It boomed in the last decade. The decade ahead, it's just going to get bigger.
Why do you think that?
Historically, it's still a new transition from the traditional, okay, go to university, sit in a room, get lectured, that environment, right? To, okay, well now, if you get the best of the best individual, like just think of masterclass, you get the best of the best directors, the best of the best cinematographers, and they tell you their exact workflow, right? And how many of these greats out there exist in the world who haven't taught yet? So many. And that's where that type of educational content becomes super valuable. Then there's random people like me. We run a wildly successful online education business in this microcosm of the economy, which is filmmakers and cinematographers.
There's an episode that we did with a woman named Sarah Fennell, and she does online training for food photography and does amazingly well. And actually I'm trying to find that episode on our website because we'll put it in the show notes so you guys can check it out, because she talks a lot about her online training, how she got it set up and blah, blah, blah. So that might be kind of interesting if you guys out there are thinking about putting out some training on, in video training that you can try to sell. She talks quite a bit about that. So we'll put it in the show notes. I can't seem to get to it while we're talking here. Sorry for the digression. Okay, so, but I think that's, so anyway, you're thinking that education through video is going to be huge moving forward. But I just want to circle back just a little bit more on the distribution, because really now what we're saying is that as a video producer, as a creative, you are, based on just your kind of ideal way of structuring a video production company, you're creating the assets, but then you're also managing the distribution. And basically, you're obviously charging for the production, but you're charging a monthly fee to distribute. Now, my question is, what if it doesn't work? How do you show accountability? We're doing that Peloton thing, for instance. How do you come up with a number that's actually going to breed the results that you want, knowing that the client needs $500, gets $500 per bike, they want to sell 10 bikes a month, whatever it is? How do you figure out what you need to charge in order to be successful, so that you're not a month later having a client knock on your door saying, I didn't sell anything, what am I paying you for?
Sure. That is a fantastic question, and it's a very perplexing question unless you have benchmark numbers to go based off of.
Yeah.
And in every single channel that exists out there, television, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the way advertising agencies do it is they will know inherently what is the average in this particular market that I can show, what do I have to pay to get someone to see my video and then click over to my website? What is the average cost there? So if you don't know those numbers, it's very difficult to make a value-based, result-based offer. That's where we have developed those benchmarks from working in, at this point, hundreds of industries with people and on dozens of different types of campaigns, is you want to have those numbers. So for example, with Facebook, on a e-commerce sales funnel right now, selling camera equipment similar to B&H Photo, or selling some camera gear through Amazon. I'm working with a company right now that offers camera gear. Their price points are between the $40 to $80 range. The way I was able to come up with, all right, well, if you're willing to spend between $10 to $20, we can buy you as many clients as you would like, and then sell out all of your products and put you on back order. The way I came up with that was I knew on Facebook, in the film and cinematography space, I can typically buy traffic with a good video for between 30 cents up to $2. Now, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a good video. So that means we can get it for 30 cents to 50 cents here.
Sure.
So there's a little range of variance there. I know my average conversion rate on a landing page for people who are clicking over, who are just watching a video and then now they're interested in a product, is on average, we're going to have 1% of people see that page and then decide to invest in that product. So knowing that, all right, 50 cents a click, let's say, and 1% conversion rate, I can actually buy sales here for a lot cheaper than I need to. That's how you do the math. You have to understand the economics and the numbers and the benchmarks there, so that way you can see that this is a viable plan, because the math won't lie to you. If there's confusion in a distribution plan, You have to go and sit down, and it might take you 30 minutes, might take you 2 hours. If you're bad with math like I am, you just have to whip out the calculator and then you develop it. And it's kind of black and white at that point as to here's what I can offer.
This whole like conversation is like stressing me out. Like, I love the idea of it, but it feels so overwhelming because now I'm like, okay, I'm a digital marketer now. And I think that a lot of people listening are going to be like, well, you know what? That's not what I am. Like, I'm just a content creator. I'm a videographer. I'm a filmmaker. I'm not a digital marketer. Like, what do you say to those people? Are we now living in a world where you kind of just have to be both?
Absolutely not. No. You don't absolutely have to be both. Again, you just want to be the person who's able to diagnose a challenge and prescribe a solution. Like, that's what great commercial filmmakers will be able to do. And you can specialize in any area of the process. So just with filmmaking, you can be a cinematographer, you can be a gaffer, there's so many different areas of specialization. And so with commercial filmmaking, there's going to be the media buying side where some people just do distribution. They don't do any content creation. There's going to be the people who specialize in just content creation. But if you're doing that, you have to understand who your client is. You're probably not dealing with a small, medium-sized business. You might be, your best friends will be advertising agencies. You're going to be going and looking for direct clients who have internal media buying teams and looking to partner with them as their content creation team, because that is a match made in heaven in terms of a marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you just need to know where you want to be. And if you don't know that, find someone who's where you want to be. Find someone who can help you figure that out. Because the worst thing you could do is spend a ton of time just sitting in uncertainty, not doing anything, not taking any action, not moving forward. You want to come up with a plan, move quickly because the biggest killer, I would say, of a great artist, someone who can be successful, is just fear. Fear comes from uncertainty oftentimes. Of, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I should go. I don't know how I should do this. Everything's confusing. So then you don't do anything and nothing happens. And then guess what? You need a job because you have to pay the bills. So you get out of the industry altogether, or you give up, right?
And part of your training does focus on how to utilize these tools and just get your head around it so that you are more confident when you're going into meetings. Okay.
Exactly. And I've given so many broad, high stroke examples in this conversation that if you're listening and you are confused, you're rightfully so. I do this all day. This is what I do. So for me, it comes quite naturally, quite easily. But again, whenever there's uncertainty, go specific. Go specific. If you get specific, you could figure out the math on a specific type of business. Instead of looking at all businesses in the world, all right, figuring this out for Peloton, this one example, right? Yes, it might be a little stressful for your first time, but you'll figure it out. Just exposure and repetition is the mother of learning. It's the mother of developing skills. So you have to expose yourself to it and get specific so you can solve the problem.
The program is called Next Level Creators. And if you are interested in the stuff that we just talked about, and if you're at this point in the episode, you are, otherwise you wouldn't be listening this far, check it out. I mean, Paul and I have talked a bunch of times. I think I've gone through the training a bunch of times, looked through separate, little videos here and there. I know Connor, our producer, has gone through the training. Like, we've learned a lot from this. And I think there's just so much information in there about how to think differently about production, think differently about the value of production. There's nothing in here. I think my biggest fear when I was looking at the programming, going into it, before I saw it, my biggest fear was, it's like, does this come from a standpoint that completely rejects creativity and just focuses on the finances and the business and all like the boring stuff that you don't want to deal with? It's not that. It really isn't that. If anything, I think your training enhances the creative process because it makes it so that you're confident that the work that you do will be seen because you then have control over its distribution. And you also open up a new revenue stream with clients. So I think it's really great. I think what you're teaching is really interesting. And you're saying you went top level with this stuff. I kind of feel like we got a lot of details here. And if anything, if people are interested in learning more about the program, not necessarily ready to buy into it 100%, but just want to learn a little bit more, talk to you a little bit more, where can they go?
They can go check us out at mrpaulxavier.com. It's MrPaulxavier.com.
There you go. I'm looking at it right now. Right here. How to scale a 7-figure video production company. That's a headline that gets attention. And then you got a whole bunch of stuff here. Look at you. Wow. This
Over
is cool.
100 case studies and success stories on the site. We update with proof of people getting deals. Just this week alone, we've had 2 people land 6-figure deals in the community for commercial campaigns and content retainers. It's a really exciting time to be a content creator. And again, working with me is not I'm no one's savior by any means. I have no desire to be anyone's savior. If you're in a really bad situation, I sometimes tell people this is an industry of love. You have to love it. You have to be in it, and you have to do the work yourself to find success. I'm just very fortunate that I have such creative and exciting people to work with, to share what I've learned and what as a community we've learned. And when it's implemented well with someone who's passionate, it tends to work for you once you get the approach right.
I love it. MrPaulXavier.com. Of course, we're going to put a link to it in the show notes, you guys. You know we will. And Paul, your success has been so great over the last year, over your whole career. It's really interesting to see how much you've grown and learn more every time you come on the show. So thank you so much for coming on.
Ben, let me know what people say about this one. And if there's any other topics you want to go into, we'll do another one. I'd love to.
I love that. So you heard him, guys. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think of the episode. And if you have additional questions, you can reach directly out to Paul through his website and social media. So please do that. So Paul, thank you so much. And we'll have to have you back next year to talk about the new trends in 2021.
I would love it.
I want to thank Paul Xavier for coming on the show and sharing his insight and information. Of course, you can find him at mrpaulxavier.com and certainly from the show notes on gocreativeshow.com. I want to encourage you once again to subscribe to Go Creative Show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode, and follow us on all of our social media platforms because we give you an opportunity to ask our guests your questions. It's been a lot of fun. People love it, and we love it too. You know who else we love? Matt Russell. For mixing and mastering and making the show sound so good, you can find him at gainstructure.com and on Twitter at gainstructure. He is for hire people. So hit him up. He'll do a lot of your mix work, make it sound amazing, make you sound amazing, and look even better to your clients. And of course, Connor Crosby for producing this show. He puts it all together behind the scenes and does a fantastic job. And you can find him at ignitionvisuals.com, ignitionvisuals.com. And of course, you can find me at Ben Consoli on Instagram. I've been putting a lot of attention there, and it seems to be going well. So if you love behind the scenes, if you want to see the work that I've been doing with my production company, it's all there at Ben Consoli on Instagram. And of course, gocreativeshow.com. For all things Go Creative Show, that is the place to go. I want to thank our sponsors, Rule Boston Camera and Post Lab. Please support those that support us. And we will see you next week on another episode of Go Creative Show.